Hi, everybody. This is Dave Cathey, the Food Dude, here on the Food Dude and Friends with my co-host, Julie Porter Scott. How you doing, Julie?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really well, all
Yeah.
things considered. It's too hot outside.
Trying not to melt.
Yeah, and with weird storms that pop in the middle, and that's all confusing. But it's Oklahoma, right?
Oklahoma's going to Oklahoma.
That's right.
That's one thing we know for sure.
One thing we know also for sure about Oklahoma is it's a tasty place to live these days, right? One of the things that makes it so tasty is all the new restaurants. And we had some big openings this week.
We did. And you've been out and about a lot.
Well, I have and I haven't. It's a strange thing. So my goal, we had two big openings last week, the very last week of June. Alma opened in the former Ludovine space in Midtown, and Pearl Mesta opened inside the Skirvin Hilton from Chef Andrew Black. Two major openings, and my goal was to go to both places before July 1st. Well, today's July 1st, and I've eaten at one of those places twice. But the other, I have not eaten that yet.
So you still don't. There's still suspense.
There's still suspense.
Around
Why?
one.
And there's actually suspense around both.
Okay.
So here's the deal. So Alma opened a little over a week ago, and they were open for about 4 days. I know for sure it was Tuesday because I was there on the Tuesday that it happened. Big storm blew through town. I was sitting at the restaurant when the big alert came through. Very scary winds are coming. Run for your lives. All that stuff. And there wasn't a cloud in the sky. So we left, and a few hours later, the storm blows through, and Alma was left without power. And unfortunately, that shut off their walk-in coolers and ruined all of their food. So they didn't.
Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. They did not get power back until Friday, I think. And so they reopened on Saturday, just the bar. In fact, and I should mention here too, this also affected R&J Lounge and Supper Club. They're adjacent to each other. So both of those restaurants were shut down after Tuesday, reopened on the weekend with bar only.
Okay.
So as of this recording, they are both open for bar only service, hoping to have their foods restocked and everything and be ready for dinner any day now. So I can tell you I had a couple of wonderful dinners at Alma, and we're in the city is in for some really exciting foods, some really exciting dining. If you ever ate at the Ludovine, I know you ate at Ludovine.
Loved it.
Many times, and the space itself. I mean, it was just a great space to hang out.
The bar space, the restaurant,
all of
that
it.
patio.
Yeah. And so Pearl Mesta, as I said, I was supposed to go there on June 30th, but Chef called me up. Said, hey, any chance you could come in on Tuesday? And I said, sure, no problem. What's anything wrong? Oh, no. Just that, demand has been so good that we're running a little low on food over here.
Okay, that's a good problem.
That's a good problem to have. It is. Now, I will tell you, no restaurateur wants to have that problem ever.
Sure.
It feels, for them, it's the end of the world. Even if it's for good reasons, it feels like the end of the world. Especially, he's brand new. Again, no preview services. And so, I guess in the same way it happened with Alma, sort of in a freak way, they end up with a soft opening of their own.
Yeah.
But probably a little cheaper way to do it. So all that to say, these two very exciting new restaurants are open.
Okay.
And you can now do reservations at either one. And Alma had to cancel the reservations that they had on the books. So if you go on to try and do a reservation, if you can't make a reservation for a certain day, that means they're not ready yet.
Sure.
So you can go on and do those things. And, go to Alma, get the pave fries.
Okay.
You probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
I'm clueless.
No idea.
You have to fill me in.
So pave fries are I don't even know if it's a real thing or something that Zach just made up. But so potatoes pave is a classic French presentation where you layer sort of like it's similar to au gratin potatoes.
Okay.
Instead of small layers of potatoes, it's long layers of potatoes, and you make a stack, and then you pour cream over it and roast it, and it all kind of absorbs into a delicious cake of potato.
I want to go to there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and lots of butter in it to make it work. And so Zach has done all those things, except instead of adding cream, he just cooks it through, roasts them together with butter, then cools it, slices them into slices, and fries them into French fries.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Sounds insane.
Heavenly.
Well, for those two big hitches in the giddy up.
Yes.
It sounds like July will kind of inevitably be better.
Yes. June's folly will be July's, delight. Because,
that's great.
Because July is gonna end up with all the good stuff out of this. So they will be fine. The openings are no less exciting than they were, but they just had a little bit of a rough patch. That's all.
And so that means that the next time we get together, you'll be able to report back
Yes.
on Pearl Mesta.
Yes, fully.
Okay.
Going there tomorrow. So yes. So yeah, it's a very exciting time in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa and all over Oklahoma if you're into food. And one of the things that we've got in front of us. So what's that there in front of you there, Jules? What's that there?
Well, this is the new book from our friend and collaborator Dennis Spielman
Yes.
and his writing partner Jeff Provine, and it's 100 Things to Do in Oklahoma Before You Die.
Oh my goodness!
And it's so well done and well thought through. A lot of good food stuff in here.
Yeah.
Pie Junkie and Big Truck, Flamingo Tiki, but also a lot of arts things.
Mm-hmm.
Heading over to the Contemporary and OKC MOA, and then I think it's funny that I flipped here. Full Circle Bookstore, which I'm assuming we can get it there. But I also know we can get it on Amazon and all the normal places that you get books. But 100 Things to Do in Oklahoma City Before You Die. I'm excited to dig in on this.
Same. And of course, we'll get Dennis on the other side of the camera at some point. This just came out today. This is hot off the press, folks. So we wanted to get some information about it to you today. And we also had another reason, didn't we?
We did.
Yes.
This one's mine.
That one's yours.
So you can't have this one.
That's right. That was Jules.
This one's mine.
Yes. The other reason we want to talk about Dennis's new book is because our guest today, right?
Right. Nathan Gunter.
Yes. Nobody. In fact, Nathan could probably give us 200 places to go.
Oh, for sure.
Before the end of next week.
Editor-in-chief of Oklahoma Today magazine, the State's magazine, which I didn't realize has been around since the 50s.
Oh, yes.
And so he's the editor-in-chief. He has not been there since the 50s.
No.
I'm happy to report. But he and I are longtime friends. I think you guys have been friends for a long time.
Absolutely.
So we thought we'd get him in here today to talk really about the summer road trip and where you might go and what delicious things you might eat while you're there. So that's kind of the direction we're going to take today.
So with that, let's welcome Nathan Gunter. Welcome, Nathan.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you here.
I'm thrilled y'all are doing a podcast together because I think the world of both of you, and I think you're both awesome and just such cool people. And I'm thrilled. Thank you so much. I can't wait to listen to your show. I'm excited to be on it, but I'm more excited to listen to it.
Well,
not the one I'm on. But
you have a podcast. Let's talk about that real quick.
We do. We have an Oklahoma Today podcast, and we started it pre-pandemic and then put it down during pandemic. It's very events focused. So it's like, what are we doing this week? Is sort of the thrust of it. And so it goes, it's every Monday we upload it. We upload new episodes and talk a lot about things going on around Oklahoma that week. So we'll have a guest on who is from something. We had Tito Jackson recently. That was the randomest. If you want to talk about a random email, that in this line of work, in any creative line of work, sometimes you get an email or a message and you're like, what's happening? That was the most what's happening moment ever. Like someone emailed and was like, Tito Jackson lives in Claremore. He's doing Juneteenth up there.
What?
Do you guys want an interview? And we were like,
of course.
Yeah, we'd like to go. So Ben Lucian, our web editor, went up and our podcast host, who's great, he went up and interviewed Tito at his ranch in Claremore. I know, right? So you just never know what's going to happen. But and then we always do we each kind of Ben chooses some events for us based on things he knows we're interested in and that we would like to do, and we always try to make each other laugh. So it's kind of sketch comedy with events, but we have to I always have to be like, guys, the event is the point, not the joke. There have been a few events, and I've done this too, where it's like, that was really funny. I'm really proud of what I just wrote, but also I'm just going to tell you the event details because there was more joke than info right there. So it's a hard balance to strike sometimes. They can be hard to write, but we have so much fun.
Well, part of the reason we wanted to have you on today is just, it's summertime. Yeah. I don't know if you could tell that by the degrees
the searing
outside.
Heat that you had to pass to here.
But it's
Is that
also
what that was?
It's also, I think, a weird summer insofar as I think a lot of people that I know that normally would get out of Oklahoma for a vacation or get out of town, with flights being so expensive and, just maybe some not wanting to miss some of the neat things that are happening in the state. I think a lot of people are sticking close to home. And I know my little family, we're not taking a big trip this summer, right? We're just doing these little day trips or, 3 nights somewhere. And so we've done a couple. We went to Broken Bow at
Lovely.
the beginning of the summer.
It's so nice down there.
But really, this is for my personal gain to have you on here to make sure that as I plan these little trips, that we're thinking of all the best places to go statewide and hidden treasures.
Yeah.
And also, of course, obviously, that we eat very well
Food.
while
Yes.
we're there.
Yes.
It's important. Very important.
So that's so much a part of travel, isn't it? Is the eating. What are we going to eat when we get there? I know that we like base trips on restaurant research, so I get it. I feel this so hard. And I have been kind of mulling over this sort of, I don't want to say discovery because I didn't discover this, but this thing that I discovered for myself recently, which is that there is a city in Oklahoma that is so flippin' delicious and you would never know, and it's Lawton.
Yeah.
Really?
Lawton, Dave, right?
Okay.
Lawton.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
amazing.
and it's a different place than everywhere else.
It is.
It's sort of out on its own.
Yeah, there's no Oklahoma town like it. I mean, we all know at this point that Oklahoma City and Tulsa to a degree too have low key some of the best food scenes in the country. That's not a secret at this point, and there's more here than I have time to try, and that's literally my job. But Lawton, because of Fort Sill, it has a very highly diverse population. So you have like places like Moody's. I made notes and I'm going to pick them up because I don't trust my own memory. But like Moody's German food, Cabo Taco is some of the best birria I have ever had. I'm not even a big birria fan. It's very trendy right now and people love it, and that's cool. It's not exactly my thing, but the Cabo Taco, holy flip. Those, can you tell how excited I am? I'm having to censor myself. They're really good. Like if you want birria, that's really good. That's the one. And then there's a Korean place called Nami, and it's amazing Korean food. There's a food truck called Puerto Rico To Go.
Wow.
Amazing. Things like mofongo and all that. It's so good. It's so good. So really, like, go to Lawton, eat. It's amazing. Like it's
so like
unbelievable.
while we're down in Lawton, what else would we? So like Museum of the Great Plains. Is
so
that...
good. Yeah, Museum of the Great Plains and the Comanche Nation Museum are in the same. They're both in Elmer Thomas Park.
Okay.
And they're both fantastic, and they're both air conditioned, which is important this time of year. You can spend the better part of a day in the air conditioning at both of those museums, but then the park is right there too. If you've got littles that need to run around and blow off some steam, you're right there in the park. It's a it's a great little town. And then you have right there nearby, you have Medicine Park. Great place to stay, wonderful places to eat there. That town is blowing up a little bit in a way that it's funny. As long as I've worked at Oklahoma Today since 2011, I've worked in tourism, and that whole time we've had this joke that every year you get some kind of thing. Oh, Medicine Park's about to blow up. It's blowing up. It's about, and we're waiting, but it's really happening. Like Medicine Park really has taken off, and it's
like a lot of cute Airbnbs.
Yeah,
and like
there's
motor
like
lodge.
these gorgeous like birdhouse cabins right by the river that are like pastel colors and just cute as can be inside. Really cozy, comfy to stay. There's so many. You're right. There's so many Airbnbs and cabins right there in the area, and then of course you have the whole Wichita Mountains right at your doorstep when you're there, and any kind of outdoor thing. Like I'm not a big, like I know I have a lot of friends who are big into mountain biking, huge in Medicine Park. You can have so much fun mountain biking. But I'm more of a slow walk hiker.
Right. I have the two speeds, slow and a little bit faster.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Hurry up because there's something chasing me.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so funny because I was in Charlotte, North Carolina recently for a conference, and I was hanging out with a friend who lives there, and I was like, I'm such a slow walker, but I won't stop to take a photo. I'm like, as I walk by.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but Medicine Park's amazing. It's adorable. It's really fun. I love it so much. And there's two really great, I'd be remiss not to mention the two really great state parks that are down in that area too, which is Great Plains, which if you're into rock climbing, best place in the state for rock climbing.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, so good there. And Quartz Mountain is a state park again, which we're so excited about. The lodge is back. And it's been remodeled to the tune of lots and lots of money, and it's gorgeous. And it's a really, there's tent and RV camping at Great Plains, but the lodge at Quartz, if you're not a camper, is just a great place to stay if you're down that area.
When you get near the Mears store too, in that neck of the woods.
You do, yeah. That's down there, and
always a good. If you haven't been to the Mears store,
I feel like every Oklahoman been. I feel like it's
I'm always
required.
Surprised, yeah, but
I feel like you can't get a driver's license until
it's a neighborhood you're not often in. So if you're in that neighborhood, you kind of need to drop by.
Yeah,
just because it's weird and kind of wonderful.
It is very weird. It is. Those fried peaches, though, holy cow!
Oh yeah.
They're so good.
Oh
man.
Go wrong.
Yeah, I love that part of the state. So that's my biggest one. That's the one that always surprises people, right? Because people don't, for whatever reason, people don't often think of Lawton as a place to go, and they should, because it really is really
Well, yeah,
great.
The Air Force Base, it really does.
Yeah.
It brings some gravity to the area. You go down to Broken Bow, and you've got big, beautiful greenery and lakes. People are always going to naturally flock to that type of area.
Yeah.
The other corner of the state is not quite as lucky.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, don't get me wrong though, because what's the Bill's Catfish Cabin?
Oh, in
down that
Waurika,
way,
yeah. That
Oh,
place is
yeah.
amazing.
So it's not like there's no place to fish and
Sure.
and hang out and that kind of thing. But there are just hidden gems.
There are, and they're
what it
all
comes
over
down to.
down there. It's amazing. But yeah, it's people. I'm not kidding. I tell people that like, what? Shut up. And I'm like, no, really, go, and they do, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you were right. But yeah, I love that. I love that area. But and then you and I talked the other day when we talked about Bartlesville and Pawhuska and the Osage, and that's like one of my weekend getaways.
Yeah.
Like if I need just a weekend, like I'm booking a room at the Price Tower and or a cabin at Osage Hills, one of those two, Osage Hill State Park, one of those two. Although there's a really nice, I think it's Holiday Garden Inn, Hilton Garden Inn in downtown
Garden Inn.
Bartlesville.
Yeah,
too.
we've
It's really
stayed
nice.
there.
Yeah. So downtown Bartlesville's gorgeous. You would think you were in a city. I mean, you are in a city, but like you'd think you're in a bigger city than you're really in, because the Phillips 66 was founded there, and the buildings are all still there. And for people who don't know, and I hope you do, the Price Tower is there. It's a boutique hotel that was a building that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Which is very cool. And you
Super
can
cool.
stay overnight. But it's a delicious town, too. Frank and Lola's is the most amazing restaurant downtown. First of all, if you're into haunted things, they claim it's haunted.
Oh, really? I
Yes,
didn't know
supposedly
that.
Frank and Lola's is haunted.
Okay.
Won't express an opinion on what happens after we die, but on a podcast. But they say it's haunted, so that's fun. But more importantly, they do Santa Fe green chili, as well as anyone in the state.
Oh.
See, that right there makes me want to believe in an afterlife. So like you get to choose.
There's evidence for an afterlife. It's Santa Fe green chili.
Yes, and
That's true.
You get to go
It's
haunt your
transcendent.
favorite Santa Fe green chili.
Yeah.
In.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's so good. There's a legendary place in Bartlesville called Murphy's Steakhouse, which serves the famous gravy over all steak, and you have to get it with gravy over all. You can get like the fries with gravy, and everything comes with brown gravy that's delicious. And it's one of those like, it's been around a billion years. I think it's literally like 70-something years old. But it's so good. It's one of those like small town diner type places.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and they're just the best. I adore those things that have endured.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That have really lasted and stuck around. I'm a big fan of all that. And then, of course, if you're in Bartlesville, you can go across to Pawhuska and drive across the Osage. And it's lovely. You know, we always take 44 through Tulsa up, usually stop and have dinner on the way up, stop and have dinner in Tulsa somewhere. But on the way back, every time, go through Pawhuska, hang out in Pawhuska, do all the things. And there's a lot to do in Pawhuska. But then drive across the Osage. You know, and I would say if you're one of these people that really, I know people who've grown up in Oklahoma and are like, oh, flat land, driving through flat land, ugh. I'm always like, go drive the Osage. You will change your opinion about flat.
Yeah.
Because it's flat. It's a different kind of landscape.
Yeah, it is.
And I was so happy with like Killers of the Flower Moon in August Osage County showing that.
Yeah.
It was they got so many beautiful shots of that landscape. There's nothing like it in Oklahoma.
No,
not
yeah.
really anywhere.
Yeah, if you suffer from claustrophobia, that is the place to go.
If you suffer from
Definitely.
agoraphobia, it is decidedly not the place
not
for
the
you.
place to go.
Yeah, if you're worried that you'll be sucked up into the sky, if it's going
Absolutely.
to happen anywhere, it's going to happen there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But if you drive across to Ponca, you can tour the Marlin Mansion, which is the craziest story in history about Lydie Marland and her life. But there's a really great place to eat in Ponca City. Julie, I think you've been there. Enrique's.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
It's the best.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's in the Ponca City Airport.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
No, it does. But like you sit there and you have these amazing puffy tacos, or what they're puffy chips and their tacos, are kind of what they're known for. Really good Mexican food, like really legitimately great Mexican food. And you can sit there and watch the little planes land and come, and it really, like, you're in an airport. Like, you notice that you're in an airport, and it's the weirdest experience, but the food is amazing.
Food is
Like,
really good.
But people literally get in their planes and fly up there just to have
to
lunch.
eat.
Lunch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. When
That
do
place
I
has
get to
some
be
fame
rich?
about it. It really does.
When do I get to be like Fly to Ponca City rich? Am I a journalist and a state employee? Is the answer never? Okay.
I mean, we could get some side hustles going.
No,
Hey,
it's
it's
fine.
never
I'm
too
happy
late.
to drive up. It's worth it. I'm happy. Anyway.
Okay, so walk me through that. You think that's like a long weekend, maybe?
I think
You-
it could be a weekend.
You go up, you do dinner in Tulsa.
Yeah.
then you drive over to Bartesvill, stay in Bartesvill.
Yeah.
Do a full day in Bartesvill, like on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And what would you do?
And then I
Rock
might.
on that day.
Maybe, yeah. Like, definitely you need the better part of a day to do Willow Rock. So I would either do it on the Saturday or the Sunday.
What's the museum at Willow Rock? What?
It's just Willow Rock.
That's
I mean,
what the museum is?
Yeah. It's all part of a thing.
That museum, I think that's one of the best kept secrets.
It is. It
Like,
is. It's right here in my notes. It's written huge.
You walk in and you're like, wait a minute, is this like, the art is incredible.
It is. It's an art collection not to be beaten.
And covering every square inch of the place.
So cool.
It's wild.
It's true. It's Frank Phillips' former ranch, the founder of Phillips 66, his former ranch, and they still do this every year. They have this party. It's in September called, what's it called? Cowboys and Outlaws? Horse Thieves and Outlaws. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, it's every September. I've been to it. It's so fun. And it is a tradition that Frank Phillips started where he would invite like all the outlaws and all the lawmen to this ranch, to Willow Rock, for this party. And they would party together, and the agreement was everyone would leave the guns at the front. No one would be arrested. No one would fight. They would just have a good time. And they did. And like famous outlaws and lawmen were at this back in the day.
I've always heard about it. And
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go, but
It's
I've
a
never,
blast.
I've never gone.
So fun.
I need to add that to the list.
You do. Definitely add that to the list.
Leave gun at
Cathey's and
home.
Outlaws, that's what it's called. Yeah. But it benefits Willow Rock. It's a benefit gala, so it does benefit. But you're right. They have an amazing art collection. They have, especially if you go in the summer, they have the Mountain Man Camp. Kids love this. They can, there's, I mean, parents don't always love it, but kids do love it. There's like axe throwing and.
There's like a petting zoo.
He had a menagerie out there, literally like like bison, zebras, all kind of stuff.
He had all.
He did. They're not there now, but
No.
yeah.
But no lions there.
No lions
at
now.
present.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of animals out. Like when you're driving through, when you're driving down, it's a long drive from the entrance
Buffalo
down in there.
and- Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then there's the lodge with all the hunting heads and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of different buildings on this kind of campus out in the middle of Osage County. And you're right, it's a full day. I can't believe more people don't know about this. I can't believe more people don't go more often. I love Willow Rock so much. It's a treasure. It's an absolute treasure.
We love it. I don't think it's been so long since we've been that I don't know that my kids would remember it, which means
Perfect
we're
reason to go back.
overdue to go back for sure.
I think it's time.
Okay.
I think it's time.
I'm sold. I'm going.
And then
Yeah, I love
you'd
that.
go from there to
I'd probably go to Pawhuska up
and
from
do
there.
Tallgrass Prairie.
Tallgrass Prairie is great. You can drive out, see the bison, and again, beautiful landscape. So much cool stuff's going on out there. And Pawhuska itself is neat. If you enjoyed Killers, if you saw Killers, I don't know that anyone enjoyed it. I don't think it's that kind of movie, but it was a very, very good movie. And I think a lot of people didn't know about all that history before all that. And so there's you can see the courthouse where the actual trial took place and where they filmed the trial and things like that all over. There's a really great new place that opened up in Pawhuska to eat called the Dirty Laundry Saloon. That's just delightful. First of all, if you have kids, it's the best because, it's like really the food is excellent, but it's not anything cheeseburgers, sandwiches, salads, great stuff. But then like on the menu was like dinosaur nuggets. And I heard every parent go, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
I don't have to explain what anything is today. I can just order and eat.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
The Dirty Laundry Saloon, it's really great. I am a big fan of that place.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So maybe the idea is watch Killers of the Flower Moon before you go.
I think so.
And maybe it moves you into this kind of a trip.
Yeah.
It gives it context.
Yeah.
that kind
And
of
two,
thing.
I think it's worth saying too, if you are motivated by that and you go and you're curious about Osage culture and Osage history, they're just important to be respectful. Like don't just
Absolutely.
approach people out of the blue and ask them questions.
Right.
There's a lot of people in that town who still have family. It's personal to them. So
Absolutely.
the Osage tribe has asked people not go out to the cemetery where the people are buried. They ask that people not go out to the places where some of the bodies were found because some of that knowledge is out there.
Absolutely.
Just be very respectful and kind and just sort of take it all in. But it's a really cool town. It's just
what you're saying is the tenor of the movie,
exactly.
basically.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
approach it that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to learn, and people like there's the Osage Museum. The Osage Tribal Museum is great, and there's places you can go, and like the church,
Sure.
where they filmed a lot of the movie as well. So, but Pawhuska's a great town. It's adorable, right? Isn't it just the
Yeah,
cutest
it's so
little place?
cute.
Yeah. I love historic preservation. I
Thank
love
you,
towns that
Ree.
have kept their downtown.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can stay, the Frontier Hotel is really nice, and you can stay there. Our friend Addie Roanhorse, who did our cover for that issue, has an Airbnb called the Little Rain Song Loft. And she really, it's over her gallery. Right there in downtown. It's right up the street from the Mercantile. It's a really nice place to stay, too.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about this here latest issue?
Let's do it.
I noticed.
There's so much to it. It's
so
our
much.
history issue.
So they're all your favorites. I know.
They're not.
But
That's not true at all.
Well,
No.
I
the
know
truth.
I know that to be true.
There's some that you're like, oh, thank God that's over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. Take us to the promised land. The
Yeah.
stuff that you just really couldn't wait to get out to people.
Our cover story. Our cover story. Kane's Ballroom, 100 years.
Yeah.
Ben Lucian, you guys, ooh, whoa, I'm going to do it again. Every time I talk about this, I get all weepy, but there's a line, the writing is so good. Ben is so talented. Yeah. He's talented and he's skilled. Yeah. Right? And that's an important distinction, right? Like, it's one thing to be naturally good at something, but to work hard at being good at on top of that, and he does, and I appreciate it. Yeah. But he's got this line near the end. You've been to Kane's, you know, the old portraits around. Yep. He calls them a spirit council.
I love it.
And I read that line and I went, I mean, Ben. And I just I went into his office. I had tears going down my face. I was like, Ben, this line. And he's looking at me like, glad you liked it. So that's where, it's so unbelievably good. And he got so many cool interviews. And we had a ball shooting the portraits for this story. They let me sign the wall in the back. In the dressing room.
Oh, that's cool.
I thought I really was like, it's that photo you're looking at right there. I think I'm very blind and can't tell, but I think it's there. But I was like, I expected him to say no. I was like, can I sign the wall? And he goes, yeah, sure. I was like, good enough for me. Like you don't have to be enthusiastic about it. You just have to say yes. So I signed the wall. I wrote Nate was here.
This is excellent.
It was really good. And,
I love that.
Can I just say to Walker Creative, Stephen Walker and Chris Lee did such a great job, as they always do. And JJ Ritchie, their whole team on our art direction side do such a good job, and they make the magazine so beautiful. But
it really is such a beautiful magazine, and not we're not saying that from a bias place. It's won so many awards, and received so many accolades.
That's always nice too.
And I just think it's such an interesting. I don't know how many states have a property like this. That's
many, but not all.
Yeah,
which is too bad. And there have been some that have come and gone. Arkansas used to have a really beautiful one that's not around anymore. It's too bad.
Yeah,
this is a treasure.
Thank you. We've been around since 1956. I don't know if people know that. It's been in continuous publication for almost 70 years. There was a predecessor publication called, that I can't remember, Resourceful Oklahoma, that started in 1950. So the history goes back quite a ways. Yeah. And it's 6 times a year, and it's just, it's not political. It's published by the state.
Yeah.
There's no politics. There's no investigative news. There's nothing like that. But there is, our history pieces get pretty investigative, but there's nothing current, It's just good news and cool facts. Yeah. Even when the history one is always interesting because there are always some weird things to have to talk about. You know what I mean? So, for example, there's a feature in there about Alfalfa Bill, who was Alfalfa Bill Murray, who was our 9th governor, who is a fascinating historical character. You can't have Oklahoma without Alfalfa Bill. That's right. And he had some, he at one point had a campaign slogan that had a racial slur in it.
Absolutely.
And for the time, that wasn't, even at the time it was pretty shocking, but it wasn't even that shocking at the time. But, we have to talk about that. And we can't say, that was okay.
Right.
We can't render a judgment, but we have to talk about it. And we have to talk about it in kind of in an uncomfortable way. And we started out, we would never print that word in the magazine, but and stuff like that's awkward sometimes with history.
It also needs to happen.
Yeah. And so I feel like a lot of times I end up writing my editor's letter where it's like, hey, here's the things that you might not like, and here's why we did them.
Sorry about history, but...
Yeah. Well, and this one I just said something to the effect of and it's true, I really believe this, the people in our past who made us who we are, they don't have to be perfect for us to talk about them or honor them or talk about what they did that was helpful and good. But we can also talk about those things and mention the things that they did that were not great. Yeah. And it's all of a piece, and we don't have to stake our feeling of how we feel about being Oklahomans on that.
All right.
You know what I mean? We can just talk about it honestly 100%. And say this is what happened.
That's right.
That's right. And we still love our state, and we still want you to love it, and we still want you to go visit it, and if you want to learn more about Alfalfa Bill, here's some places
Yeah,
you can go.
exactly.
And we hope people really will go and come to their own conclusions about things like that.
100%. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
They do it responsibly and do it thoroughly, and leave it at that.
Yeah, but
So-
it's. We asked readers at one point, what do we do that you like the most?
Yeah.
And the number one thing, without a close, I mean, they liked a lot of things, but the strong first was history.
Yeah.
And I think we're the only the print publication that's really doing long form Oklahoma history, like in this way. Like Chronicles of Oklahoma is amazing and does it. It's very much it's a book.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they're amazing, and we use them as sources, and it's a great
resource,
publication.
100%.
But we do it in a way that's kind of more graphic and magazine-y, and we're
Yeah.
kind of the only ones that are doing that. And I think people really respond to it. So we started doing an entire issue that's just history.
Super cool. Well, among the graphic and magazine-y things that I'm looking at right here is this really cool little walk along Britain.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I had a good time doing
Yeah.
that.
Tell us about. Give folks a little preview of what
Do
you got
people?
here.
We feel like people know what Britain is. Do we need to explain that?
Maybe a little.
It used to be a
Because we got
town.
people in Tulsa who may not know what the heck we're
Yeah,
talking
so
about.
if you're in Oklahoma City and you're driving up Broadway Extension past the Dark Tower, right on the other side of the highway, this is how I keep explaining it to
Yeah.
people. This is how it
Yes.
is. Go straight across the highway back to the west is the Britain District. Used to be the town of Britain, was founded during the Land Run, like everything around here. Dennis, if I get anything wrong, by the way, just yell at me, please, because it's possible. It's possible. I have severe ADHD, so my memory sucks. So if I say anything wrong, please do just correct me in the moment. But yeah, it used to be a town, and it kind of slowly got absorbed by the city, as you know. And it's been one of these commercial districts that's kind of come roaring back lately. And 89th Street Collective is there, and there's a great. The first place I went in was this great thrift shop called Orange Peel. Speaking of history, that place is so flippin' cool. Like I bought a shirt from Rocklahoma in 1980 while I was there.
That's awesome.
Right? I was born in 1980. I was like, I have to have this. I don't care how much it is, and I'm buying it. So yeah, but it's a great, like if you're a thrifter, if you're a vintage person, Orange Peel, awesome. There's a great coffee shop, as you know.
Zero tolerance is the best.
Zero Tolerance is so good. They're chocolate. Have you tried their chocolate chip cookies? I think they use the New York Times recipe. I really do. They're really good. And I only say that because I do. When I make chocolate chip cookies, I use the New York Times recipe. And mine are really good, and theirs are really good.
Yeah, they are good.
It's like one of the few things that I cook well is chocolate chip cookies. But obviously, El Coyote,
Yeah.
Jonathan Stranger's place.
Yeah.
So
Those
good.
margaritas. Oh, my gosh. We went there. When I was writing this story, Brian and I went there to have lunch, and I was like, I'm not going to go on work time because I do want to try one of these margaritas. So I can't be at work while I'm doing that. So I was like, we'll just go on a Saturday. And we went on a Saturday, and we were going to Albuquerque the next week. And we were like, yeah,
nice.
we'll just see. Measures up.
Yeah.
Completely measures up.
Yeah.
Like everything we had in Albuquerque was great, but El Coyote is amazing.
That's cool.
Really, really good stuff. Just, and it's just that New Mexican cuisine that you know from Santa Fe.
And he's got another place he's going to be adding to the Britain District. I don't know all the details of that.
I don't either, but it's
he's
exciting.
moved what was it? Was it Osteria? Yeah, it was Osteria.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to be. I'm not sure which building it is
Okay.
exactly, but it's going to be there in the Britain District.
That's really exciting
Yeah.
to see. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And also, there's an art studio that I really love there, and it's because it's focused on abstract art.
Oh, that's
So if you
cool.
are not capable of rendering paint into shapes, that's the place for you. Like if you want to take a painting class, but you're like, my vase is going to look like an atomic bomb blew up. Like, I got you. Go to the art studio in the Britain District and take an abstract art lesson.
There you go.
Paint some triangles.
Woodworks is a really cool place. over
Yeah,
there.
That's
yeah.
the distillery.
The
Yeah.
distillery is super cool.
Yeah.
My big thing on Woodworks is they well, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys to see what you think about this. So for many years, I used to drive that road every day.
Okay.
And, that theater was the Ritz or something for a long,
Yeah.
long time. And for a short time, it was a community art box is
Yeah.
what they called it. The community art box. And I
Yeah.
would drive by it every day. And I don't know that it ever happened. Maybe it did for a short time, but I never saw anything outwardly happening except for one thing. Somebody along the way put an F in front of art box.
Okay.
And that was the big highlight in that on that spot for years.
LOL.
For that, and that, but to me, it all comes back to where it is now. And you look at it now, it's like you go from the community fart box to this place is like a happening spot.
I wondered if
Yeah.
you were going to actually
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah, I
I
did
mean-
too. It was.
I mean,
I was
it was a daily
brimming
source
with
of a
anticipation.
smile for me for about 7-10 years. I don't know.
That's funny.
But now I drive through there, and it's like a full-fledged real smile because
Yeah.
finally, much like the Paseo years before it finally
Yeah.
has found its footing and
Yeah.
it's all coming
You like to
together.
see, you like to see these places with life
Yeah.
in them. It's nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, that sounds like a good spot to
I could talk about this all day long. I know.
But this is great. We're so thankful for you dropping by today and chatting.
I'm
with
so
us.
happy. Thank you so much for having me. I can't
bet.
wait to hear the show and see it, and
bet.
not this one necessarily, but all of them, all of the episodes. You guys are I just think you're both so awesome, and so
Thanks,
thank
man.
you so much.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
by.
Thanks
Everybody,
for joining us.
check out the latest issue. I'll get up here as close as I can. Go out and find it now.
Everywhere that they have magazines, everywhere.
And Dennis's
Yeah.
new book.
And Dennis's new book. We're so excited.
Zoom in.
Yay!
Okay, but
Yay,
this
Dennis
one's
and
mine.
Jeff.
Perfect. Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you.